How's it going, guys? It's your boy Kanji FPL and welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be breaking down my FPL watch list. I've been scouting the entire league. I've watched pretty much every single game so far this season, and I've put together my list of the best forwards, midfielders, and defenders to be targeting within our FPL teams. If I provide some value to you over the course of this video, make sure that you hit the unsubscribe button, hit the dislike, and without further ado, let's jump right into the watch list. Welcome to Kanji's Forward Watch List, where we're going to be breaking down the top 15 strikers to be bringing into your FPL team. I have ranked the best strikers into 4 different tiers from top to bottom, and I've organized them from right to left in terms of importance. Now, I know that sounds a little bit counterintuitive because people like to read from left to right, but that was just the way that I had to organize the graphic. So that means that I would prefer somebody like Havertz over a Solanke. Just a note that I'm not going to be including any of the strikers that are currently within my FPL team. So that would be Alexander Isak, Joao Pedro, and Adam Armstrong. So of course, the number one option that's in a tier all on his own is going to be Erling Haaland, the Norwegian robot who's got, 7 goals in 3 games? I mean, who would have predicted that to start the season, given that he only scored 27 goals in the entire season last year? It looks like he's on pace to score, 100 goals? Yeah, that's definitely sustainable. But he's had really good fixtures, and he's picked up the points. Nothing I can do without him, and just gotta live with the results. I regret going against him. I knew him picking up around 5 or 6 goals was definitely in the realm of possibilities, and I should have factored that in a little bit more when I made my game week 1 squad. I'm just hoping that he does slow down, given that he's playing against Brentford and Arsenal, and he has very poor records against them in the past 2 seasons. He also plays against Newcastle, and then from game week 7 to 10, I just think he's back to being essential. He'll probably pick up another hat trick in that run, and I think it'll be important to just own him for captaincy and safety. So that's the way that I'm looking at Haaland, and he's in a tier all on his own. The second tier is going to involve Kai Havertz, then Calvert-Lewin, and then Dominic Solanke. Now, Havertz is the type of player that you want to bring into your squad in game week 6, where Arsenal will play against Southampton, Leicester, and Bournemouth, and then go against Chelsea, Liverpool, and Newcastle. Now, I feel like those 6 fixtures scream Havertz rather than double Arsenal defense, but if we look over the course of the season, I think we'd be better off with double Arsenal defenders because it's hard to find clean sheets, and I feel like you can only really trust Arsenal and Liverpool. You can't even really trust Man City because they have Ederson in that, really. So I think those are the only 2 teams that I trust for clean sheets, and that's why I'd prefer to have my double Arsenal defense. But from game week 6 to 11, I think it's definitely viable to be targeting Havertz, and I think that's actually the best option in that short-term run. So Havertz would be my number 1 differential striker to target, and then there's Calvert-Lewin, who is a 80-plus minute man on the penalties for Everton. I think Everton are very disrespected. They've lost their first 3 games, but if we look at how they played in game week 3 at home, they dominated Bournemouth. This was a graph that I got from Surtop and Above Average FPL, and you can see that there was a massive drop-off after the 80th minute mark, but before that, they had dominated the match. And I've seen enough from them where I just think Calvert-Lewin is going to be a good option because he's so talismanic. He gets the shots on target, which is good for BPS. He's going to be talismanic because he gets the goals or the assists if Everton ever score, and they have good enough fixtures where they play against Leicester in game week 5, they play against Fulham as well as Southampton and Ipswich from game week 7 to 10. So when you're looking at the fixtures from game weeks 4 to 10, I think they're the number 1 team with the best fixtures. So that's just why Calvert-Lewin is going to be my second favorite option in the second tier. And then there's going to be Dominic Solanke. Now, he's going to be in here just based on what he did last season. Nothing from what I've seen this year is that relevant. He felt talismanic in the first game, but he just didn't finish his chances. And I think I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. Once he comes back and he gets past his injury, hopefully he picks up a couple starts in a row, then we can go back to considering him, but for now I think he's just going to be in a void. When I look at the third tier, I think Wissa is going to be my favorite option just based on value, because I don't really look at any of these guys as being that much better than one another. And with Brentford having very good fixtures and the system that Thomas Frank uses where he doesn't create a high volume of chances, the team just creates 3 or 4 high XG chances, which will usually involve Mbeumo or Wissa. I just feel like Mbeumo would be an incredible pick to be adding into your FPL team starting game week 5. Even game week 4 wouldn't surprise me if they scored against Manchester City. So he's probably my favorite option in the third tier. And then there's going to be Mateta and Jackson, who I grouped together because they're both priced at 7.5. Neither of them are on the penalties. I do have a negative bias towards Jackson because I just don't really rate him. I find that he's always offside all the time. There could even be a risk of potentially that Mark Guhi guy getting minutes, maybe even Nkunku getting some minutes in the striker position. I don't think that's likely though. I just feel like Jackson has very good link-up play. He'll always get 2 or 3 fluke assists because Palmer will get some crazy finishes from outside the box. But I think Jackson has the most non-pen goals and assists over the past 6 months apart from Salah, Saka, and Haaland. So he's a good pick. I just have my doubts over the minutes, and that's why whenever I'm looking to bring him in, I want the fixtures to be incredible, and they're not really like that. They're like solid. So for now, I'm going to be avoiding him. Maybe in game week 12 when the fixtures turn, I would look to bring him in. Mateta just, man, he had the massive purple patch that he had at the end of last season, and then he took that into the Olympics when he was playing with France, but I haven't really seen that version of him yet. Palace really haven't clicked, so that's why I don't want to be going for Mateta. Then I think Cunha and Evanilson are going to be at the end of the third tier. Cunha would be my priority because I've noticed that Solanke was already benched so far this season, meaning that Cunha would be the #1 penalty taker for Wolves, but Wolves' fixtures are very poor. Similar to Bournemouth, they just don't have good fixtures for Evanilson. That's why we can't really target Cunha or Evanilson, but when those fixtures change, I think they'll move up within this tier, and that's when I'd be looking to target them. For example, Cunha's fixtures turn around game week 11, and Evanilson's fixtures turn around game week 11 as well, so I might be looking to bring one of those budget strikers into my team at that time. But for now, I think they're avoids. Going into the last tier, I think this is going to be very interesting because most of these strikers are usually very cheap. We have Vardy, Ndiaye, and Larsen all priced at 5.5, and then we have Muniz and Chris Wood priced at 6. Now, we've noticed that Chris Wood has picked up the points. I think I misinterpreted his expected minutes. I really thought that Awoniyi and Chris Wood would be splitting minutes, Wood starting, picking up 60, and then getting subbed off for Awoniyi, but Wood's kind of been really talismanic for Forest. And maybe I misread that situation, but I'm still keeping him as my lowest on the 4th tier. Might be a little bit disrespectful, but for now, I just feel like a lot of his good fixtures have gone. He played against Southampton. He also played against Wolves. So I'm not sure if he has very good fixtures coming up, but the points were already there. And if you have him, I think you hold. But even if I had him personally, I would probably move him to somebody like Wissa or a Joao Pedro or maybe even a Jamie Vardy, to be honest. Speaking of Vardy, he was an absolute Premier League legend. It's incredible to have him back in the Prem. When he scored against Spurs, I smiled. Not just because I don't own Pedro Porro and he wiped out all the clean sheets for the analytics community, but I just love watching Jamie Vardy. I just have so many good memories of watching Leicester win the Premier League when it was Vardy and Mahrez in that one season. So I just have good memories, and I think he's on the penalties. Now, I'm not sure if he's a 90-minute man, but I think you can still get 70-plus minutes, and he's still quick. A lot of his chances are going to be coming from the counterattacks, which whenever teams play against Leicester, there will be chances that Leicester will be able to get counterattacks from mistakes or interceptions that they can get in the midfield. So I still think Vardy is a good option, but not the best one. Ndiaye is going to be somebody that's priced at 5.4, who had the price drop for Everton. Everton have very good fixtures. Ndiaye was actually one of the reasons that Everton played well in Game Week 3, where Sean Dyche inserted him into the lineup, starting him in the left wing position, meaning that Ndiaye would be reversed out of position, a striker in FPL, but a left winger in real life. So just based on that alone, I don't want to be targeting him, but he just had his first start in Game Week 3, but he played well. Everton played well in general, and I think Ndiaye is probably one of their second or third best players, closely followed behind Calvert-Lewin and McNeil. But I'm not sure if he's going to be FPL relevant, to be honest, but I think at 5.5, he's a good budget enabler if you need to go that way. Larsen will be my favorite enabler at 5.5. The only issue with him is that he's going to be playing for Wolves, and Wolves have very poor fixtures, and you want to be targeting him from game week 10 onwards, but he's been playing more minutes than a Hwang Hee-Chen. I think he's going to be the focal point of the attack. I think Cunha will probably be the better player for Wolves, but Larsen is going to be getting some sort of attacking returns when the fixtures change because his minutes do feel locked in because he's the target man. Muniz is the one that's been very disappointing. He got a lot of the XG. He's been the talisman for Wolves, but he hasn't been scoring the goals. And there are doubts about maybe that was just a purple patch that he had last year. And that's why he's lower towards the bottom rung of this tier list. And then there's Chris Wood, who maybe I'm disrespecting a little bit, but I'm just not a fan. Moving on to the midfielder watch list. Just a reminder, I'm not going to be including the options that are within my team. That includes Saka, Bruno, Salah. Eze would be at the same level as Brian and Mbeumo, and then Semenyo would be the #1 option in my third tier. So apart from those options, I think Brian Mbeumo should be the #1 midfielder that you would look to be targeting if you're making a transfer in midfield. Now, Mbeumo is a 90-minute man on the penalties for Brentford. And if we disregard the Manchester City fixture, they have the second or third best fixtures from game week 4 till game week 13. So they're gorgeous. You can just look to bring him in, set him, and forget him. He has a very strong record when Ivan Toney is not starting with him, where he's picked up 25 attacking returns from a possible 26 starts in the Premier League without Toney. That tells you all you need to know. If he's fit and he's starting, he should be in your team. Now, I do feel that a lot of people, when they're wildcarding in Game Week 6, will include him, and I'm scared to tell you that I won't be able to bring him in until at least Game Week 6 or Game Week 7, and I'm probably going to be buying him at 7.5. I just feel like I love the other mids in my team, and I don't have the ability to bring him in. Yeah, I'd probably look to avoid Mbeumo in Game Week 4, but from Game Week 5 onwards, I think he's going to be one of the best mids in the game. Moving to the second tier, we have Palmer, who is a 90-minute man on the penalties for Chelsea. They're also involved in Conference League, so that's why I'm going to be looking to target Cole Palmer at some point in the season. Now, the fixtures from Game Week 4 till Game Week 8 are okay, but then from Game Week 12 to Game Week 17, they're much better. From Game Week 12, I can tell you right now, I'm going to be looking to bring Palmer in, but for now, I feel like each week that passes, it makes it more likely that I don't move to Palmer. I feel like if you wanted to move to him, you had to have started with him, or you had to move to him in Game Week 2 or Game Week 3. But now it kind of feels a little bit late. There are a couple good fixtures to be targeting, but I'm just not sure if that's the right play for me. I think there are other better differentials to be targeting instead of him right now. Putting Foden ahead of Bowen feels a little bit controversial, given that Foden hasn't played any minutes really in the Prem so far. He's been kind of invisible even in the 40-minute cameo that he had last week, but I just feel like I'm putting him here in this position based on what he did last year. He was the Premier League player of the season, and I know the potential that he has. The next option would be Jarrod Bowen, whose fixtures have been very mixed, but Bowen feels very fixture-proof. Whether or not he has good fixtures, I don't think it matters. He can score on the counter. He can score when West Ham have possession. And I think I have higher expectations for Bowen based on what he's been doing over the past couple of seasons. He has kind of yo-yo seasons, where 3 seasons ago he had a 200-point season, and the season after that following that up with a 150-point season. Last year picking up another 200-point season. What's in store this year? I don't know. And that's why he's going to be on my watch list, but definitely an option to be targeting in the fixture swing starting in Game Week 7 where they play against Ipswich. Diaz, bro. This man. I love this guy. The way that he works for the team, his hard work, his effort, his dribbling, his energy, his engine. He's one of the best players for Liverpool, but finishing has always been a question mark for him. But fortunately, under Arne Slot, he's been finishing his chances. The issue is last year he picked up 12 XG and only scored 8 goals. That data alone tells you why I didn't target him, but there are massive regrets. I definitely could have gone for him, but it is what it is. I think if you're looking to target somebody that has good fixtures in Game Week 4 and Game Week 5, and then probably a wild card in Game Week 6, which is probably going to be around 30% or 40% of the community, Diaz fits that bill perfectly if you're looking for a midfielder, and that's why he's going to be in this tier. He's picked up a lot of points this year, and he deserved to do so. He's been very important. He's just finishing his chances this year, unlike what he was doing last year. Moving on to the third tier, we have Mitoma, who is in the same bucket as Diaz, where if you're looking to bring in someone who has good fixtures in Game Week 4 and Game Week 5, Mitoma would be the second option that I would go for if I couldn't afford Luis Diaz. Now, Mitoma is 27, and he feels like a very key player for Brighton. He's very good in terms of beating his player one-on-one on the left wing and creating a chance for the team. Oftentimes, that will lead to an assist and not a goal, but he's already picked up a goal this year, and we know that with him being priced at 6.5, it's a good value pick. We've seen this over the last couple of seasons, so if he's fit, he's a good option whenever there are good fixtures. The issue is that after Game Week 4 and Game Week 5, the fixtures are pretty mixed, playing against Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool, and Man City, so I'd probably look to avoid him, but around Game Week 12, he's definitely a legit option to go for, and I'd prefer to go for somebody like Dwight McNeil earlier on, just based on the Everton fixtures. Now, I did sell McNeil, but that's because I went for Semenyo, and I think in isolation, Semenyo is a better pick than McNeil, but if you're looking to have multiple budget enablers in midfield, I think Semenyo and McNeil would be my favorite options, because when we look at Morgan Rogers, I'm not sure he's going to be a good FPL pick. In fact, I don't think he has more than one shot on target in any game. I don't even think he has any shots when I watch him. Now, he has had 2 potential assist chances to Watkins where he should have scored them, once against Aston Villa and once against Leicester, but that's how the cookie crumbles. He's like an assist threat, even though he's playing 90 minutes. And so because he's not getting the XG, I'm not sure I want Rogers, and I prefer McNeil. Now, I know McNeil is also very creative, but McNeil's also on the set pieces. So that's why I think I'd rather pay the 0.5 extra, especially given that Everton's fixtures are on the same level as Aston Villa. Now, of course, it doesn't sound sexy because Aston Villa are the better team, but I still do prefer McNeil over Rogers, and I think McNeil will outscore him once we get to Game Week 10. Moving on to the 4th tier of mids, Sonny is, of the premium, Sonny is the most underwhelming to watch because He just doesn't get enough service at Spurs. And it's been like this for years, but the way Sonny is that he'll get 17 XG and pick up 25 goals. Like, that's what Son does. That's why I think I could put him in the second tier. But for now, he's not been passing my eye test. Spurs just haven't been playing that great. So I'm going to be putting him as the first option in my fourth tier, but he's the one that can move up right to the number one option at some point easily if he picks up form. Odegaard is the one that's very disappointing. Now, I don't think Odegaard will be the best FPL pick. I think if you want double Arsenal attack, it's going to be Havertz and Saka. And I know Odegaard would be a good pick if Saka got injured, because that means that Odegaard would also be on the penalties. But other than that, I don't think Odegaard is going to be a good pick at all, because it's so important to have the right three Arsenal. And whether it's double defense or double attack, I don't think that includes Odegaard. The last option is going to be Minteh, who's been playing very well so far this season. Even after getting his concussion, he still started and played well. So I think he's the type of player that passes the eye test. He could be a very good budget enabler at 5.5 only, especially playing for a very solid Brighton team. Now, he's not on any of the set pieces. Now, I think there also is some potential rotation risk with Solly March to come back within the next couple of months, and then there is Enciso, who could take minutes away, as well as Adingra, who could take minutes away. And that's why I'd prefer to go for a Mitoma, and I would just avoid Adingra, but he's definitely a good enabler if the minutes are there. I just have question marks personally over those minutes, and that's why he's the lowest on my fourth tier. Moving on to the defender watch list. Just a note that I won't be including the defenders that I currently own, which are Saliba, Gabriel, Trent, Lewis Dunk, and Leif Davis. Now, before the season started, I was very confident that Leif Davis would be the highest scoring 4.5 option, but Rico Lewis has actually put his hand up, and we have to talk about him. He's a 4.6 defender in FPL, and he's been the most attacking defender for Man City over the first couple of weeks. Now, Rico Lewis could easily be a trap. Pep is a very good man manager. He noticed that Foden, Walker, and Rodri went deep into the Euros, and he pulled out all the lies and tricks in the book to just bench them over the first couple of weeks, giving them extra time to rest and recover. And during that time, Rico Lewis has stepped into that right back role for Man City, and he's been playing really great. He was unlucky to only get one attacking return in the first couple of weeks. And that's what makes this dynamic so interesting, because I noticed last year that Kyle Walker was sort of past his best. He's kind of washed. He's a very good one-on-one defender, of course, but offensively, he's just not at the same level as Rico Lewis. So I wonder if Pep will tend to play Walker in the more difficult fixtures and then start Rico in some of the easier fixtures. But that's me thinking about it with rose-tinted glasses. There is a downside. Rico Lewis could potentially just get 0 minutes from now until the end of the season. He could also start some of the Champions League games, and he could also be subbed on for 10 to 15 minute cameos at the end of games, because Pep wants to give a youngster minutes in his legs. So I'm not sure how this dynamic will evolve, but just understand that whenever Rico Lewis is starting alongside Gvardiol, you want Rico. And if Gvardiol is starting alongside Walker, you want Gvardiol. That's what makes this dynamic really interesting, where I'm definitely going to be looking to bring at least one Man City defender into my team from game week 7 to 10, where they play against Southampton, Bournemouth, and Wolves. But I'm not sure. Maybe I might even target both, because I won't even know who to pick between Rico Lewis and Gvardiol. Because with Gvardiol, you know you have the nailed minutes, and you're just hoping that Walker starts so he can just show what he did at the end of last season. Now, if you can't pick between an option, why not just have both? One of them is bound to get a 15-pointer from game week 7 to 10, and I think I want to be there. Moving on to Pedro Porro. Now, Porro is in the tier of don't buy, don't sell, in my opinion. I don't really trust Spurs defensively, and I want to see them improve before I move to a Spurs defender. Now, the interesting thing is that his good fixtures have already come and gone. He played against Leicester and Everton, who are probably two of the top 5 clean sheet potential fixtures in the league, so I just don't know if I want Pedro Porro in the future, because I don't trust Spurs. Now, the thing with Porro is that he picks up very strong attacking positions. He gets into the center attacking mid positions at times. Like, it's unbelievable that a defender in FPL is getting to those spots. So I think he will score some goals. He will pick up a couple of assists, and he is on some of the set pieces, especially when Maddison is not in the lineup. But for now, Maddison has been starting, lowering the ceiling of Pedro Porro. So I think he's in the perfect don't buy, don't sell territory. But what makes him nice is that he's priced at 5.5, cheaper than the Salibas and Gvardiols of this world. So that way you're able to partner him with a 4.5 option that you could rotate with him. But over the course of the season, I'm just not sure I want Pedro Porro personally. I just don't trust Spurs. However, if Solanke comes into the lineup and I see them improve defensively because they're able to control games more instead of being so aggressive with their style of play, maybe I would reconsider Pedro Porro. But for now, I think the defense hasn't improved and the good fixtures have already gone, so I'm not sure how many cleans are in the future, so I'm just going to be avoiding for now. Going into the last tier, we're going to be having Dalot, Munoz, Ait-Nouri, and Estupinan. Now, Estupinan is the top of this tier for a reason, because I have seen what he's done in previous seasons, but he's still injured. He's been injured. So I do have to caveat that, and I think the best time to be targeting Estupinan would be around game week 12. But up until then, he's just on the watch list. Then we have Ryan Ait-Nouri, who's been very solid for Wolves, picking up very good attacking positions, but similar to Estupinan, you can only really target him from game week 11 onwards. But at that time, I think he will be in a lot of managers' teams because Wolves' fixtures were so poor from 1 to 8 that their fixtures from game week 11 to 17 are like top of the ticker. So Ait-Nouri will definitely be somebody that I'll be looking to bring in. My Algerian brother, very attacking positions in the first couple of games so far, so that's just a green flag for me. And then we have Munoz. Now, I think Munoz is in the don't buy, don't sell category. Crystal Palace have been very meh defensively. They haven't really clicked as a team, but Munoz has gotten 1 assist from the own goal in game week 1. But so far, I haven't really seen him be as aggressive as he was last season, as well as how he played in the Copa America. So I think there are more points in store. Maybe we'll see it in game week 4 against Leicester, but the fixtures are really mixed. You know, they have a good fixture against Leicester, then they play against Liverpool, then they play against Everton, then they play against Man United. So it's not really a good fixture run. He's a good option that you could have and then rotate him with another 4.5, but I'm just not sure I want to spend a transfer on that spot. But he's definitely a good defender in FPL. And if you're looking to make a move on somebody and you can't afford any of the 6.0s or 5.5s, I would look to Munoz of all the 5.0s right now. And then there is Diogo Dalot. Now, this could always be that Mazraoui 4.5 option at Man United. This could be Luke Shaw at some point, but I think there will be a chance to bring in a Manchester United defender from game week 11 to game week 13. Right now, my favorite option is Diogo Dalot because he has the respect of his coach and he has the respect of his captain. They're both Portuguese. He picks up very strong attacking positions. I will be watching game week 4 where Man United plays Southampton, just noting who's in better positions, Mazraoui versus Dalot, in case Luke Shaw is out for a longer period of time. Probably Luke Shaw will be my #1 priority if he stays fit because he should be on some of the set pieces, some free kicks, maybe some corners as well. So just to keep that in mind, but there could be a chance to bring in a Man United defender, but not right now. Alright guys, hopefully I provided some value to you over the course of this video. If I did, don't forget to hit the dislike button, hit the unsubscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.